First of all, welcome to this joint press conference. Attending the press conference, we have Mr. Ringo Mok, Director of Drainage Services, Assistant Director, Operations and Maintenance, Mr. Edwin Lau, Chief Engineer, Ms. Esther Yun, and then from the Civil Engineering and Development Department, Mr. Ricky Wong, Head of Civil Engineering Office, Mr. Cheng Wing Hon, Chief Engineer, and also we have Ms. Belinda Wong, Deputy Director of Home Affairs. On the rundown of the press conference today, first we will explain our assessment on the flood risk based on the observatory's forecast, and then we'll explain other details as well. Then the floor will be open to questions. So please disseminate this important information from the press conference today to the public so they will watch out for the poor weather and make corresponding responses. First, Mr. Ringo Mok, the Director of Drainage Services, will speak. Good afternoon. The Chief Secretary called a meeting of the Steering Committee on Handling Extreme Weather to holistically review and further steer and coordinate cross-departmental preparations in a thorough and adequate manner, and also to coordinate response efforts to address the possible threats that RAGASA may pose to Hong Kong. According to the weather forecast of the observatory, RAGASA will edge close to the coast of Guangdong, and local weather will deteriorate quickly later tomorrow. And there will be gale to storm force winds prevailing on Wednesday, and winds may reach and that the weather will be adverse with heavy squally showers and thunderstorms. Seas will be very high with swells. The sea level may be similar to that of Hatto in 2017 and Mangkwat in 2018. According to the observatory, in the morning of the 24th of September, Wednesday, the sea level may rise by 2 meters, and the highest sea level could reach 3.5 to 4 mpd. And then at Tolo Harbour, the sea level may rise to 4 to 5 mpd. Based on the latest information, the Drainage Services Department is convening this joint conference together with the CEDD and the HAD because we want to disseminate information on the relevant information so that the public could make the necessary response and preparations. Now, the Drainage Services Department has in place sending emergency response arrangements. And then in response to the serious flooding threats brought about by RAGASA, we have put in place special measures. First of all, we have deployed an additional 20 emergency response teams. So in total, we have 200 such teams, and they will inspect and clear drains across the territory. Secondly, we will deploy in advance the powerful, mobile powerful pumping robots to stand by in advance at locations with higher risk of flooding. We have 6 mobile powerful pumping robots, and earlier we have actually ordered another additional 4 such robots. So they should arrive at Hong Kong late tonight or early tomorrow morning, and they could deploy it right away. And thirdly, the DSD and the CEDD will provide large quantity of sea bags to residents at relevant locations. Usually, the DSD will only distribute about 10,000 sandbags, but this time our target is to distribute 40,000 sandbags, so 3 times more than the usual quantity. And then the CDD will also distribute more sandbags to 10,000, double the usual quantity. And then we will also work with the Home Affairs Department. And for residents and shop operators with need, they will be provided with sandbags in all the 80 districts in Hong Kong. And then at residential developments with high flooding risk or with strong winds, the district offices of the 18 districts will work closely with the DSD. We will draw up action plans and formulate response plans as well. For example, at Taipo, Lam Chun River and Conf Bridge, we will put stop water panels there, and then we'll also put a large number of sandbags in Lei Mun. And then in Changkwano, along the waterfront, we have also built water barriers by stacking sandbags. This is to reduce the risk of flooding. And then the DSC also keeps in close liaison with the Shenzhen authorities. The water level at Shenzhen is now below the alert level, and there is no plan for flood drainage yet. Floodwater drainage yet. Now, if there is a need to drain flood water, the Shenzhen authorities will notify us at once. And so we urge the public to take all necessary preparation measures, and then they should avoid going near flood-prone areas. And if you spot any blocked drains or flooding, please immediately call our hotline. And then we will take measures at once. And then for the first time, we're deploying our self-developed system, MCube, mosaic model map. So we have sophisticated hydrodynamic model pre-run, scenario mapping, and compilation, so we could then estimate the possible flooding risk with various factors at play. Now, I will ask my colleagues to report to you our flood assessment outcome and also the various emergency responses we will put in place. Next, Ms. Esther Yun, please. Thank you. Now, the director said that the super typhoon would lead to a rise in water levels. So we have assessed the low-lying coastal areas or residential developments of strong winds, so we could assess the possible flooding risk, and then revenue departments could make preparations in advance. Now, we will assume that at the same time there will be a black rainstorm, and then along coastal low-lying areas, response measures have been put in place, but then our assessment is assuming that there are no response measures. Maybe for various reasons, the response measures are not able to be effective. For example, seawater may seep through cracks, and then stop water facilities may be destroyed by strong winds. So taking the opportunity today, we would like the public to know that even with all the measures in place, we must still be very cautious. And then at 25 low-lying coastal areas or residential developments with strong winds, we will take various measures because these 25 locations, there are various levels of flood risk. 11 locations have the most serious risk. So I'll first talk about 7 locations. And then you could refer to the pink version, the pink shaded areas. These are the most these are places with the most serious flooding risk. So in Wing On Street, Kat Heng Street, this is Tai O, and then Sun K Street, the sea level could be water level could be a meter deep. And the DSD has already put up stop water panels in Wing On Street, but then the water level may rise above the stop water panel height. And then Lei Mun, there are this is a coastal area, and then seawater may seep through cracks and gaps. So the water could be as deep as 0.6 to 1 meter. And then The observatory estimates that the water level along Tolo Harbour may be 5 mpd higher than that for Mangkwat. So we will provide movable stop water panels, and we'll ask the residents to install these panels. And then at low-lying areas in TYPHOON town, now, when the water level of the Lam Chun River rises above 5 mpd, there could be they will affect the drainage system. So if and then in Shingmun River and so on, the water level could also be may also exceed 1.5 meters. So the public must not go into such areas when the water level is high.
In Kawali, the flood may go up to 0.6 to 1.2 meters for some low-lying area village houses. Sandbags will be put by the Drainage Services Department. Removable flood barriers will also be provided for village houses necessary. And in Yunlong, when the water level of Shanpui River is high, we can see extensive flooding in Taitang Wai, Wangchao, Shanpui, Chun, and Yunlong Town Center. The flood can go up to 0.6 to 1 meters. We would like to ask also those in Lao Fao Shan, Pak Noi, Hang Hao Chun, and Sha Kiu Chun to note risk of flooding again going up to 0.6 to 1 meters. We ask the citizens affected to take refuge in temporary shelters. I will now ask my colleague to talk about other areas that may experience flooding. I will talk about the other areas that may be subject to flooding. They are indicated by pink areas. First of all, in Ma On Shan Tai To Wan village, because of the specific location, with it being close to Tolo Harbor, the water level can be quite high, and the tin-sheeted houses in the coastal area may see flooding of over 1 meter. In Sai Kung, close to Namway and Hangchong, again, the village houses are close to the coast and they are in a low-lying area. We can see flooding of over 1 meter. In Tongchong Bay, in the coastal areas, in Ma Wan Chong Chun, Sha Chu Tao, and Sha Lo Wen, they may see flooding of 0.6 to 1 meter high. The village houses and tin-sheeted houses close to the coast will be affected. And in Cat O Fisherman Village, again, village houses and tin-sheeted houses may see sea water flooding. The flood can be 0.6 to 1 meter high. For the 4 locations between 2024 and this year, with the agreement of residents, we have installed removable flood barriers for over 100 structures to alleviate risk of flooding. Citizens should also be aware of risks posed by overtopping waves, especially in Hangfa Chun and Southern Chengkwa. For Hangfa Chun, we have put in place flood barriers in the playground. We have also altered the stormwater drains. Every typhoon season beforehand, we will have joint drills. In Southern Chengkwa, we also have wave walls. But we urge citizens to still take preventive measures to not go past the relevant areas. We will now ask Mr. Edwin Lau, Assistant Director, Operations and Maintenance of the Drainage Services Department, to speak. Thank you. I will now talk about, for the different locations, what emergency response and mitigation measures we have in place. For Tai O, the Drainage Services Department has set up with other departments an alert system. The Drainage Services Department has in advance installed flood barriers and implement emergent response measures. We will provide pumps and sandbags to citizens and merchants, we also deployed the amphibious pumping robot number 2 to drain water in the area to minimize the risk of storm surges. In Liyumun, we have also installed temporary pumps, and in Liyumun, the seafood street, we have erected some flood barriers. We have also prepared sandbags for the use of citizens. In response to potential storm surge caused by RAGASA, the Drainage Services Department has already increased the height of the removable flood barriers in response to the potentially higher water levels. We have also deployed the mobile powerful pumping robot to the area. In Sanmunzai Centrum, we have put many sandbags there for the use of citizens. We have also deployed the amphibious pumping robot number 1 there for the drainage of water. In TYPHOON Old Market, close to Tinkok Road and close to Conf Road in TYPHOON Market, we have put in place some surge prevention measures such as Impacting Street and Po Lane. We have put in place the temporary water-filled flood barriers. We have also have sandbags in the ready. We are also deploying the mobile powerful pumping robot. In Kawo Li, we have temporary pumps installed. We also have sandbag walls erected. We also have a large number of sandbags ready for the use of citizens. We have also deployed the mobile powerful pumping robot to the location. We will also set up for particular residents a specific type of water barriers. In Taichenwei, Wangchao, Shanbuichun, and Yunlong Town Center, in the different locations, we have put sandbags in the location for the use of citizens. Close to the Chuanquan-O Promenade, we have the CEDD's wave walls. We also now have a temporary flood wall erected for flood prevention. As for Queen Mary Hospital, we have seen flooding last month during the black rainstorm warning when it was hoisted. So we have the Drainage Services Department maintaining liaison with the Queen Mary Hospital, putting in place some flood barriers as well as sandbags to minimize the risk of flooding during rainstorms. The Drainage Services Department has maintained liaison with stakeholders. Before the rain season this year in March, we have held multiple meetings with different bodies, government departments, public bodies, public utilities companies, the Buildings Department, Home Affairs Department, the MTR, the Property Management Services Authority, etc. We have held multiple meetings with different parties to enhance awareness on flood prevention and make sure to implement the relevant preventive measures to prevent flooding. We have also helped the Property Management Services Authority to update their relevant code. I urge stakeholders, including private management, building management professionals, to take the preventive measures necessary. Thank you. We'll now have Mr. Ricky Wong, Head of Civil Engineering's Office, CEDD, speak. As introduced by the Drainage Services Department, in response to risks posed by RAGASA, the CEDD has been working with the Home Affairs Department to take action in certain locations. As my colleague said earlier, we have for low-lying areas prepared double the amount of sandbags compared to before. For this year's typhoon season, we had the CEDD deploying more officers. We now have 100 officers. It is a significant increase from before. The CEDD has briefed the relevant officers beforehand and prepared a list. We have also conducted drills. For low-lying coastal areas, on 19th of September, last Friday, we have placed sandbags in the specific locations for the use of citizens. We have maintained close liaison thereafter with the Home Affairs Department, district representatives, and contractors. If necessary, we have provided additional sandbags in the specific locations. We will issue reminders to citizens that the sandbags are ready. We will also facilitate citizens' use of such sandbags. We will also deploy officers to help citizens take the sandbags at the risky locations before typhoon signal number 8 is hoisted. We also ask the relevant contractors to be prepared to deploy necessary officers and make use of the materials and take action if necessary. We will also, after the typhoon has left Hong Kong, make sure we can catch up as soon as possible to remove any possible obstacles. We will also enhance awareness of citizens through a press conference and information disseminated on our social media platforms. We also urge citizens to note the risks posed by storm surges and overtopping waves and take preventive measures. We now invite Ms. Belinda Wong, Deputy Director of Home Affairs, to speak.
Good afternoon. The Home Affairs Department and all district offices have started our preparation for the super typhoon RAGASA. We work with the Drainage Services Department to distribute sandbags and set up stop water barriers. And then since last week, we have mobilized district councillors, the free committees, and others to help to disseminate information to the public about the latest weather information. So we want to remind them to be prepared. And if the residents live in low-lying areas, we ask them to go to higher grounds or to go to our temporary shelters. And starting from 8 a.m. tomorrow, we will open the temporary shelters for residents who wish to move there. And then we will monitor the situation closely. And if necessary, we may open up some of the temporary shelters today to give residents assistance. And starting from noon today, we have started our 24-hour emergency hotline, 25728427. So that, and then we will also disseminate our temporary shelters information on our website from time to time. Thank you. Now we will open the floor to questions. We will have about 25 minutes for questions. Please first identify your news outlet, and please limit yourselves to no more than 2 questions each. The gentleman in white. Thank you. I'm from Cable News. There's mention of flood drainage in Shenzhen. There's no plan so far. But then from past experience, usually announcement is made maybe 15 minutes later or at least later after flood drainage has started. So have you conducted any review? What if they announce, if the Shenzhen authorities announce flood drainage, could the government be quicker with information dissemination or announcement? And then at the worst locations, water level could be as high as 1 meter. And so you ask the residents to evacuate if necessary. But are there plans to help them to evacuate? First, Director of Drainage Services. Now, the Shenzhen, there may be draining of water from the Shenzhen Reservoir leading to flooding in Shenzhen River. As I mentioned so far, the situation is stable. The Hong Kong side and the Shenzhen side have kept in close liaison. We've had many meetings in the past. We explored how we could step up communication between us. And more importantly, how can we ensure that we have a more effective notification system? That is, if a Shenzhen side sees the need to drain water, they will inform the Hong Kong side earlier. We've done much on such arrangement, and if we agree that if there should be such a scenario in future, the Shenzhen side will first inform the Drainage Services Department. That means it will be expert-to-expert interaction. So then that means there will be earlier notification, and then when we receive the notification, other revenue departments will also receive the information, because we have set up a WeChat group. On the group, we have Shenzhen officials and representatives of various Hong Kong side governments, departments. So there will be advance notification, and we believe, therefore, things will work better than before. If there is need to drain water from the Shenzhen reservoir, we will be informed in advance. Home Affairs Department? Yes. Now, at the worst flood-prone areas, we are actively reminding residents to watch the risk. I'd like to take this opportunity to ask you to help with disseminating information. Please alert the public to watch for possible floods. And then, well, there may be a need for evacuation due to safety reason. If that's the case, the Home Affairs Department will give support. The lady in grey, I'm from In Media. First, about this press conference. How come is you three departments calling a joint press conference? How come it's not a press conference by the steering committee on handling extreme weather? Have you suggested to the steering committee to call a press conference? And then about the mobile powerful pumping robots. Seawater may rush ashore, but will these robots be useful? Are there any constraints? Maybe in extreme weather condition, perhaps these robots won't work? Is that possible? Director of Drainage Services, as I said at the beginning of my opening address, the Chief Secretary for Administration chaired a meeting of the Steering Committee on Handling Extreme Weather yesterday. The Steering Committee reviewed the latest typhoon information and also the emergency response we need to take. The press release was issued after the meeting, detailing all the decisions and discussions at the meeting. And then at the meeting, the Chief Secretary directed the three departments to call a press conference today to inform the public about the arrangement, because we have to be very careful about storm surge. Now, whenever there are typhoons, there will be heavy rain. We've been through many such cases. But then we keep enhancing our response to heavy rains. For example, on the 15th of August, there was a black rainstorm lasting over 15 hours. And we were able to control flooding at the time. And then with this super typhoon, as you have heard from the observatory, there would be serious threats caused to low-lying areas due to storm surge. And there is already an action plan that we put in place. And then if there is a storm surge, then we will follow this action plan. So there is a mechanism to go by in terms of our response actions. The lady in white at the back. Sorry, yes, another question. The mobile powerful pumping robots, we have showing you how this robots work on various occasions. Well, this is an integrated design. It can be remotely controlled, and then the pumping capacity is 800 cubic meters per hour. It is a high capacity robot. And actually, we've been also trying to look at the overseas and mainland market, see if there are other robots with similar capacity, but then the mobile powerful pumping robots have the best capacity, and so tonight or early tomorrow morning, these robots, 4 more robots will reach Hong Kong and they can be deployed right away. Now, rising sea level causing flooding along coastal areas. Could the pumping robots work in these circumstances? Well, it depends on the actual circumstance. Say if there's rising sea level causing inland flooding, then the robots would be effective, because then the water in inland areas could be drained away right away. But then if it's a storm surge and the sea level exceeds all previous records, sea level is higher than the stop water barriers or the embankment altogether, then in those circumstances, maybe the robots won't be as useful.
We will now have the journalist in the back in a white top.
How much more is done in preparing for Typhoon RAGASA compared to other typhoons this year, and also with flood predictions going up to 1 meters at low-lying areas? How much damage does that mean towards residents at those areas, and any advice to them?
Thank you. Mr. Mark?
Okay, maybe I can answer the first part of your question, and then for the second part, maybe I will invite HAD colleagues to supplement. In view of the threat of the coming super typhoon, DSD and Drainage Service Department and CDD has taken some additional special measures to tackle the challenge of this super typhoon. The first is for this typhoon, we have increased the number of emergency team from the previously 180 to 200. So the increased number is 20 teams to tackle the flooding incidents happen all over Hong Kong. Secondly, we deployed our powerful pumping robot to the location with high flooding risk, in particular those low-lying areas to be affected by the storm surge of the super typhoon. Thirdly, DSD and CDD will jointly provide large amounts of sandbag compared with before. For example, for DSD, normally for normal typhoon situation, we will provide about 10,000 sandbags to residents all over Hong Kong. This time we will provide over 40,000. In the past is 10,000. This time we will provide over 40,000 sandbags to the resident and any resident who in need. So it is more than 3 times more than before. For CDD, the department will provide about 10,000 sandbags this time for this super typhoon, which is almost double of the amount provided in the previous cases. Also, the Development Bureau has deployed contractors to work with HAD to provide for all over Hong Kong a lot of sandbags for any resident and who required the sandbags for their preparation for the storm. So this is the special action taken by the departments in face of the coming super typhoon. So for the second part, maybe I invite HAD colleagues to supplement.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mark.
Okay.
HAD, please.
Yes, and thank you, Director. So in light of the possible impact to those residents staying in the low-lying areas, so VHAD has already mobilized our district council members, district free committee members, and also care teams to visit the residents living in the low-lying areas and to disseminate the latest further information and to remind them to make the good preparations and to encourage them to stay in safe places during the typhoon period or to stay in our shelters operated by our department. So in light of the possible impact, our department will start operating our shelters as early as tomorrow from 8 a.m. onwards to allow those needy residents to stay. And also we will continue to monitor the situation. So if there's any residents who needs to stay in our shelters early, we will operate the shelters as early as today. And our department will actually has already operated a 24-hour hotline so that our locals can seek information from the hotline, and we will continue to disseminate other messages through our other platforms. Thank you.
Thank you. 跟住呢邊黑色衫。
The journalist here wearing a black top. Hi, I'm from Commercial Radio. We talked about the mobile, powerful pumping robots. If we have record-breaking storm surge water levels beyond the height of the flood barriers, the flood barriers won't work effectively. When it comes to that, what kind of emergency response arrangements would you have in place? Because I believe the arrangements you have only anticipated the water levels we've experienced before. What if it goes beyond that? Thank you. Thank you. Say in Legumun, we have seen it being a coastal low-lying area being affected by storm surges before. We have the data from the observatory on this, which is why we have already arranged our contractors to increase the height of flood barriers by 300. With the higher flood barriers, we should be able to respond to the higher water levels of this storm surge. But we do expect higher water levels, which may affect the effectiveness of flood barriers, which is why we have put a large amount of sandbags behind the flood barriers. So with essentially a wall of sandbags and the flood barriers, we will have higher capabilities against higher water levels, so as to preserve the effectiveness of the flood barriers. And in Tai O, we have seen the government undertake works before. We have 300-meter long of flood barriers. We also have some rainwater pumping stations that can drain water that have seeped through. They have worked quite effectively. However, according to the forecast of the observatory, we will see higher risks of flooding, of storm surges, resulting in higher water levels beyond the height of the flood barriers we have in Tai O. We have something planned already. So the flood barriers are just the front line of things. We will have a second layer of safeguards. We have the pumping stations, as mentioned earlier, that can be draining rainwater, but that may still not be enough because seawater can come very quickly. So we have a third layer of safeguards where we have the CEDD and the DSD install flood barriers at the entrances of the residences in Tai O. Along with the CEDD and the Home Affairs Department, we have also provided a large amount of sandbags to residents. This is an additional safeguard. We have been transporting sandbags to Tai O early on for citizens to build this barrier at their entrances. With the flood barriers and the sandbags, it is very likely their homes will be protected, or at least losses can be minimized. The Home Affairs Department has been working with the care teams, and they have done much work in Tai O. I heard some volunteers say that they have provided assistance to villagers. When a storm surge is about to come, they have in place some plans to work with residents to help them move their valuable items elsewhere. So we have been making use of such measures to respond to the challenges posed by RAGASA.
Yes, reporting in black. I'm from ... News. I have two questions. First one is for the Home Affairs Department. Now, you open up the community halls during Super Typhoon. Is the arrangement any different than that in the past, and what's been the improvement? And then what will be the role of care teams, and how do you ensure the safety of the care team members when they carry out duties? Second question is for the Drainage Services Department. Now, you've deployed different robots in the past, and now we're seeing more and more inclement weather. So are 10 robots enough? Will you consider procuring even more robots? First, the Home Affairs Department representative. Yes, thank you for your question. On temporary shelters, in the past, we are actually opening up the shelters earlier than in the past. Where in the past, we will usually only operate temporary shelters when typhoon signal number 8 is hoisted. But now we're doing it earlier. We are opening up the temporary shelters tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And if some residents leave their homes early today, we will even operate the temporary shelters later on today. And second point, now, in the past, when the typhoon number 8 signal was hoisted, we will probably we would have operated about 20 to 30 temporary shelters across the territory. And this time, we plan to operate 40 temporary shelters in all 18 districts, so as to cope with the needs of residents in different districts. Director, yes, on the mobile, powerful pumping robots. It's the first time this year that we have deployed these large robots. Before the start of the rainy season, I have explained the robots to you at the time. We had free pumping robots and free remote control Xiaoyu series drainage robots. Now, we've seen that the mobile powerful pumping robots are working well. They've helped us to cope with some heavy rainstorm in Hong Kong. They help to reduce flooding risk. So we first bought the first unit, and then we bought 2 more units, and now we have bought 6 units in total. And it so happens that the last batch of robots that we ordered would arrive at Hong Kong either tonight or tomorrow morning. So they will come in time for them to be deployed for this typhoon. So in a short space of time, we have increased the number of robots from 1 to 10. And we monitor the situation. If there is need, we will actively consider bringing in more pumping robots. Now, the current model is not the only possible model. We will look for other useful models in the market. They will all be considered. Care teams. You haven't answered my question on care teams. The role of care teams and how they ensure the safety of care team members when they are providing service. My apology. Now, the care team members are actually volunteers. They're just members of the public. So when they provide service, they must look after themselves, and they must stay safe, just as any members of the public, especially during typhoon. So what we ask the care teams to help with is to remind residents that through their own network they can tell the public about the gravity of this typhoon and then things they must look out for. And then after the typhoon, we will have to rely on the care team to help with some take follow-up actions where necessary, and if they spot any issues, they could report to the government too. Last question, perhaps? Well, if there are no other questions, that's the end of the joint press conference. Thank you for coming to the press conference. Thank you. you.